Now, our next GB viewer and listener, Jill, got in touch to say, I listen every day and hear the arguments about how much gas and electricity prices are going up. I hear about the windfall tax, but I still do not hear you talk about rural communities' reliance on oil to heat their homes. Well, here we go, Jill. The price of oil gas has gone up fourfold, not doubled. We have to rely on cars to go anywhere, so the cost of petrol, diesel as well affects us disproportionately.
Yes, well, Jill, we hear you and we agree that rural communities are definitely underrepresented in the media, and we often don't consider the disproportionate cost that you are facing. So let's talk to Duncan Hawley, who's a sheep farmer from Warwickshire, who knows all about the rising cost of operating in a rural area. Thank you for joining us, Duncan. Do you recognise what our viewer and listener said there about the rural areas of the country not receiving enough attention in terms of how much more they're affected by the rising cost of living?
Oh, absolutely. Prices, they were starting to creep up before the Ukraine crisis hit, but they've just been going up tenfold. Diesel, for example, we're paying double what we were paying 12 months ago. That's just for operating our tractors and vehicles. And obviously, as you all know, what pump prices are. It's absolutely crucifying the rural communities.
I mean, how bad is it in rural areas? Because rural areas, I think, get it rough anyway, to be perfectly honest with you. I used to live up in Cumbria, and it's a very rural place. Certainly parts of it are very remote indeed. And, you know, it is a different kind of life, right? And this isn't making it any easier, is it? I mean, how bad is it for people like you?
I mean, it's terrible. We've had costs go. I mean, fertiliser as well has been another input cost that's gone up a hell of a lot. We were paying £270 for fertiliser per tonne last year. That's now gone up to £1,000 a tonne. Fuel. I mean, we live out in the middle of nowhere, you know, so trying to get to a petrol station, obviously. And now we're paying, you know, £1.80 a litre to run our trucks just to get about, and there's no end in sight. And that with the government reducing our the help that we've as farmers to produce food is declining. It's really come at a really bad time for us.
Do you feel as though, especially farmers, so not just people living in rural areas, but farmers, are forgotten in this country? For me, when I think of England, right, or the UK, you know, I think of the rolling countryside, and therefore it goes hand in hand with the people who farm that land or farm the animals that are on that land. And yet, all too often, as far as I can see, people like you are just forgotten.
Yeah, it does feel like that. We sort of feel a bit like the Lone Ranger. You know, this government on about that we've got to rewild and that we've got to go planting trees, and that's fine. And we've got, you know, the environment. You know, we've got to look after the environment. But if we start taking masses amount of land out of production, we're going to be heading for, you know, a serious crisis, and I think we are looking at a food shortage globally now. So it really is serious at the moment for us.
Now, just a little bit off topic this, OK, but I do a Friday night show. I hate to go on about it. I do a Friday night show, 7 till 9 p.m. every single Friday Night Feast, capture it right here on GBNews. But I get challenged something every single week, OK? And one of the things that I've been challenged is to go sheep shearing, right? Could you sort that out for me?
Yeah, we're probably shearing next week, so if you want to come down and have a go, you're more than welcome to.
We've timed it perfectly. Right, good stuff. Thank you very much, Duncan. OK, so, look, cheers, and good luck to you, mate. OK, I know times are tough at the minute, but you are kind of the spine of this country, people like you. So, good for you, mate. Keep going. All right, that's Duncan there, of course, who's discussing rural energy costs and, indeed, I suppose the plight of the rural communities, really. Rural communities get massacred all the time.
They do, and you forget about the media forgets about it, don't they?
Well, because it's not sexy, is it? It's not a sexy topic. But when I was in the Lakes, Lake District, and, you know, there's a lot of... I don't begrudge anyone for owning a second home. I mean, I'd literally love to have a second home.
You just love a home.
I'd like to have a house. Right, sorry. Yes, but it does mean though that if everyone's buying second homes, then things like your local services, they haven't got anyone because they're there 1 week of the year or 2 weeks of the year. So the local primary schools haven't got many kids in them. The post office shuts down. This, that, and the other. And rural communities do have it tough. Anyway, right.
Yeah, but I think rural areas are the best areas. I love every time I go to the countryside or I've lived in the countryside. It's gorgeous.
We're going rural tomorrow, aren't we?
Kind of.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We are. But we're not allowed to say where we're going, apparently.